Hi everyone, this is Joan, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day or night or whatever time it is when you're actually looking at this. I got a request. It was really appreciated, so I'm sorry it's taken me a while, but computers are not my thing, and they tend to act up on me. So it didn't completely die, but it keeps saying that it's full no matter how much I try to take off of it. So I had to go back to the old one that the microphone didn't work. But in any case, I think I got it. And I apologize for this being late. This happened 2 days ago, so it's already old news. But what I have to say is not going to take all that long. You see this article, and it's the Black ICU nurse Sandra Lindsay among first of C-19 vaccine recipients. And she says, I feel hopeful today. A critical care nurse at New York's Long Island Jewish Medical Center. And this was written by Charisse Frazier. December 14th, and this is, at the time I'm speaking, December 16th. Well, so this is the picture that I have seen going around the most or being presented the most. And the first thing I thought really was that she's a very attractive lady. Both of them are. This is a doctor giving a nurse a vaccine. And, excuse me, what struck me was that they're showing dark-skinned black women. Now, that may not seem like a big thing to you if you're in a black community and maybe you see a lot of dark-skinned black women, but when you turn on your TV set, generally, you don't. Now, I'm not sure who the it girl is now. I'm sorry, I know I'm so out of date. But let's say in my time, the it girl was Vanessa Williams. And you saw a lot of reportedly black women being represented by people who had less women who say, or you could say, I'm so sorry about the voice. It always goes when I try to record. But let's say that when you turned on your TV set, you would really think that the average black woman really did look half white. Okay, at least half white. Like a half white person was categorized as a mulatto, a quarter black person as a quadroon, an eighth as an octoroon. So basically, you saw a lot of quadroons and octoroons, and if you didn't know the black community, if you hadn't walked around and actually seen black people, you would think that most people looked like that. And that's not, that hasn't changed. If anything, it has gotten worse because every generation seems to be getting lighter and lighter. So for them to specifically find two dark brown or brown-skinned women to demonstrate this particular vaccine, I thought was telling right there. Now, it's up to anybody what they want to do. Everybody has to make their own decisions. And as I said before, whatever you do, whatever power you get, whatever you're bowing to, ultimately you're only going to either be bowing to the most high or the most low. And every day of your life, you're making that decision and you're acting on it. So, it reminded me of this movie. Okay, this is a movie called Miss Error's Boys, and as you see here on IMDb, is the true story of the U.S. government's 1932 Tuskegee syphilis experiment, in which a group of black test subjects were allowed to die despite a cure having been developed for syphilis. Okay, and you can see here Alfre Woodard. Okay? Now, Alfre Woodard is now 68, but you can get a pretty good look at her. She's a very attractive woman, but she's also she's definitely a brown-skinned woman. Now, like I said, every generation is getting lighter as far as I can see. And when I was coming up, this was pretty much the typical color. But now you might say she's dark brown, because basically what people seem to be saying now is people, like it used to be a middle ground where you had light, medium, and dark. Now it just seems to be light and dark. So I think that she would be in the darker half, and she would be, I think that, she would be considered dark. So, hold on, I am going somewhere with this. Okay, here is what the real Eunice Rivers, the woman who administered, or the nurse, who worked during the Tuskegee experiment. And this is what she actually looked like. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that doesn't make any difference. My point is that they have a fair-skinned woman here in real life, but they brought out a darker-skinned woman, to play in the actual picture. Now, things are not done accidentally. Like I said, like I say often, that when they cast these movies, they don't do it. These movies are very big budget enterprises, and they are very careful about how they cast. And I think personally that they also cast according to zodiac signs. But the major thing that they want to do is to influence you one way or the other. So this woman, now it even said in one of these things that some of the people that she gave the shots to were even her good friends. And let me back up first with the article, because I'm trying to conserve time, and at the same time I think I might be a little sketchy. So let's go to the Wayback Machine to the first Black woman to take this shot. Now, as I said, two identifiably Black women, and I think it also says something that these are women. They didn't bring out your men here. They brought you two identifiably Black women. I say identifiably Black because when you see them, you don't automatically consider that, well, this person is probably really mixed or half something, or 3/4 or something else. These people look, both of them look dark enough so that you really do think of them as being definitely Black. Now, let's see what the actual article says. Lindsay is among a growing number of Black healthcare workers using their voices and their bodies to help restore trust among Black community members who are rightfully distrustful of the vaccine. Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, an immunologist, is one of the leading researchers who helped discover a vaccine. Dr. Anthony Fauci recently amped up the cause to highlight Dr. Corbett's work as part of this important process. So, there is a difference that people don't like to admit or think about, but there is a difference between a person who is basically Black and someone who is mixed with Black. Now, what they have told you with the, 1 drop rule that was forced upon Black people in slavery, is that 1 drop made you Black. No, 1 drop means that you had some Black ancestry. It doesn't make you Hebrew Israelite. Now, I guess you could say it makes you Black, since that also is not a name that we gave ourselves at all. But in any case, when they picked these two women here, and personally to me, the look on her face, on the nurse getting the shot, is not at all reassuring. She looks, I don't know, she looks a little frightened or something. I don't know. But in any case, They made a point of going and finding 2 dark-skinned women, not men. They're telling you who are they really trying to get here. Now, one of the side effects that I read, now allegedly, is that it may cause sterility. And as I've said on numerous occasions, by the psychopath, alleged or possible psychopath I was married to, that if you really want to get rid of a population of people, you attack the women. You attack the women because if you have 100 men and 1 woman, well, all of them, even if all of them have sex with her, she can still only have 1, 2, or 3, babies. But if you reverse it and you have 100 women and 1 man, that 1 man could hit all of them and have 100, 100 plus babies in the course of a year. So if you want to get rid of a population, you attack the women. So I think that is the reason why you see here 2 dark-skinned women, dark brown, whatever you want to say. But in any case, when you look at them, you're going to think African-American, something like that. So they're telling you who the target audience is. Who are you trying to influence? Who are you trying to convince that this is okay? Now, also, I have a Scorpio moon, so my first thought is, I don't know what's in that needle. I know what you say is in that needle, but what people say and what things actually are sometimes are not the same thing. And as I've said before, the expression on her face is not reassuring to me at all. Nope. And as most of us know, okay, like I said, this reminds me of Miss Evers' Boys, that movie. Now, this movie starred, as I said, Alfre Woodard and Lawrence Fishburne. Can't see him here. There's Lawrence Fishburne. Okay, and, excuse me, the plot for Miss Evers' Boys on Wikipedia. Miss Evers' Boys is a 1997 American made-for-television war drama film starring Alfre Woodard and Lawrence Fishburne based on the true story of the decades-long Tuskegee experiment. Okay, what happened with the Tuskegee experiment? Okay, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, also known as the Tuskegee's... Oops, where'd it go? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, the Tuskegee syphilis study, also known as the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Okay, Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the African American male U.S. Public Health Service syphilis study at Tuskegee or Tuskegee experiment was an unethical clinical study conducted between 1932 and 1972 by the United States Public Health Service and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The purpose of this study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis. The African American men in the study were told that they were receiving free health care from the federal government of the United States. Okay, so basically now I don't want to read all this, but it's right here on Wikipedia if you do. I'm not sure if they injected them with syphilis. I think somebody said that they found some hookers who were suffering from syphilis and they, introduced them to the men. But in any case, even when they had treatment for this, they did not treat the men. And it wound up being a generational thing, and that the men went home and infected their wives, some of them, and some of the children came out with the symptoms. Well, I think it caused blindness in some of the children. And as far as I know, they still have never even attempted to recompense these people for their losses or anything. So, as I showed you before, now what they told you in the, in the other one, in the movie, was the part the nurse played in this. Okay, in 1932, Okay, no, I skipped something. Okay, the film tells the story of the Tuskegee experiment, a U.S. federal government secret medical experiment on poor African American men in the years 1932 to 1972, designed to study the effect of untreated syphilis. The story is told from the perspective of the small-town nurse Eunice Evers, Alfred Woodard, who is well aware of the lack of treatment, but feels her role is to console the involved men, many of whom are her close friends. Now, I'm not sure. Now, I saw the movie when it came out in 97, and some of you know my memory for movies is not the greatest. I remember something I thought was interesting, but beyond that. But let me continue. In 1932, she is sent to help Dr. Brodus, Joe Morton, and Dr. Douglas, Craig Sheffer, to help them treat rural black men in the town of Tuskegee, Alabama. She is sent around town to tell the people that the government is funding their treatment for free, but unbeknownst to them, the government will soon run a study that requires them to go without any form of real treatment. She then comes across three men in an abandoned schoolhouse, Willie Johnson, Oba Babatunde, Brian Hudman, and Big Ben Washington, who agree to treatment. The study selected 412 men infected with the disease and promised them free medical treatment for what was called bad blood. The movie shows Miss Evers as suggesting the term as a strategy to withhold the information about syphilis from the men. The men received fake long-term treatment, which involved giving them mercury and placebos even after penicillin was discovered as a cure. When Caleb Humphreys, one of the test subjects who left the experiment, joins the Army during World War II and is treated and cured by penicillin, he returns to tell how he was cured and tries to get help for his friend, but none of the hospitals would help because the test subjects were placed on a list that stated they should not receive medical treatment because they were participants in the experiment. The survivors of the study did receive treatment and financial compensation after the U.S. Senate investigated in the 1970s. Okay, so according to this, they did receive some compensation, but I think it was a very small amount. Now, the point I'm making is you have Alfred Woodard here, a dark-skinned black woman playing that nurse. And here, let me see where she is. Here you have the actual nurse. This woman is not a dark-skinned black woman. And as it said, now I don't know in real life if these were her actual friends or something, but one of the things I just read kind of said that she was even bringing in people who she knew. These were not strangers. So my thought is that this woman was probably, well, she's educated, and people don't like to talk about colorism. They don't like to admit to there having been differences in the way people were treated. And the point I'm making is that they brought you in a dark-skinned woman and said, okay, this is the person when they made this movie. This is what a person looks like who would give you this kind of medication, who would lead you this way. And what I'm trying to point out is, nope, that is not what that person would look like. This is what she's more likely to look like. Because right after slavery, now I looked back at I did a genealogical search. And in my family's background, right after slavery, the ones who came out with money to buy a house or who managed to have a house were the ones who were mixed. It was not your dark-skinned people. And another thing I learned, and I'm not quite sure, I can't remember where, but after slavery, a lot of African Americans died because they had nowhere to go. They were not given money to go and build anything or to grow anything. That's why some stayed on the plantation and became sharecroppers, because if you couldn't, everybody has to have food, clothing, shelter. They were told you're free when they were told it, and hey, get out and do whatever. So without any kind of assistance, a lot of people died. Now I heard it was maybe like 250,000 or something. I'm not sure. But the ones who survived, at least as far as I have seen, and I know in my own family's history, the ones who came out and had a little bit of money maybe to go buy a farm or land or something were the ones who looked more like this. My point is also that the ones who looked more like this were also more likely to go to school to become a nurse. That took time and money, and a lot of people just getting off of the plantation didn't have either one, didn't have that kind of help. And even in the historically black colleges, they had, as far as I can see, they all had a severe or a strong preference for people who look more like her than people who look more like Alfre Woodard. The point is that your coloring does matter. I had read somewhere that one of the best indicators of success among African Americans is how mixed you look, you know. So, like I was saying, and I hope that I'm making my point. This is not anything, I'm not trying to say anything bad about mixed people. Like I said, excuse me, when I looked at my background, on my mother's side, well, I did see that the people who came out of slavery with some sort of a foundation to work on were the ones who were fair. And you have to remember the reason why they're fair is because they were related. I mean, excuse me, my mother made a point of telling me before she passed that, okay, she would say her grandmother came out of slavery or her great-grandmother came out of slavery, and because she was the plantation owner's daughter, he gave her money to go buy a house, to buy a land to buy a house and some land. Okay, and I saw that in 2 different episodes in my family's background. So what I'm trying to say is that it is kind of brainwashing when the actual person looks like this, but they show you Alfre Woodard. They show you a dark-skinned woman, and history always repeats itself, and that now they're brainwashing you again. They're bringing you two dark-skinned women and telling you, okay, it's safe now. You can take it because we're trying to recruit people who look like you. We're trying to recruit women. Now, I'm not saying that they won't go out and recruit men next, but the target audience to me at this particular moment seems to be the women, not the light-skinned women, not the mixed women. They want the dark women. And what was it, Gates? Somebody said the gates of hell. He basically has said, he and his wife, who, there was a woman, I don't know if they took her videos down, but I think it was Tamara Magdalena, and she was saying that, I know this is really far-fetched and funny to me, but she was saying that Robin Williams retired so he could become the wife of Bill Gates. Well, anyway, it was funny to me. But, excuse me, the point is they are showing you who their target audience is here. And as I said, I think going back to the Garden of Eden, what one of man's major responsibilities was to take care, secure that garden, and that included taking care or securing his wife. That is, God didn't give her muscles and aggression the way he gave him. So he was not to use that to attack her. He was to use that to protect her and to protect his family, protect his garden. What they're doing here is telling you Well, what they have been doing, I think, is taking the protection from the black woman, because if she is not protected, if you get rid of her, you've gotten rid of the race, basically. If you want it, like my possibly psychopathic ex said, if you want to get rid of I'm sorry, I keep stumbling over words, but if you want to get rid of a nation, you get the women. Because, like the video I did before, where what Adam said about Eve, she had to become the mother of all living. So if you get rid of her, you get rid of all your future generations. And when they show you movies like this, like Miss Evers' Boys, and they tell you that the person who was used to destroy you was a black woman, well, you are just giving people who already probably have it in the back of their minds that they don't really like black women, but you're giving them all the ammunition they need. They can look at this, and even if they don't say it consciously, if they saw that movie, or whatever kind of propaganda they're putting out that says black women are traitors, they will look at this and say, yep, it's those black women, it's those real black women. Like I saw an episode of The Game where with Brandy when she was in it, and the guy did she marry him or almost marry him? Light-skinned guy who used to play on that Sisters show, Half and Half. Well, anyway, he was explaining her or talking about her to somebody else or something or other. And I remember he said something about, because they had the girl from Sisters. So they are they're mulattoes or biracial. So he was asking if the woman that he was with, Brandy, was black. Was she black like them, or was she black? Okay, well, I'm paraphrasing, but I do kind of remember that in kind of a unfocused sort of way. So the point I'm making is that even then, they recognize that there is a difference. That's why Megan whatever it is, has married into royalty, and you don't see him going after Megan Thee Stallion or something. I don't know. The point is, you're being told that this is the face of the enemy, okay? So that let me see if I can get Fishburne in there. He might not be the best representation, but, you make her the enemy, the face of the enemy, so that he will not protect her, so that he will say she is the cause of all the problems. She is the one who, some of these men talk so strange. It's like they feel like the black women were their enslavers. And you try to point out, she was hanging from trees just like you. And they'll find some other reason to say something bad about it. And if an African American woman of mixed heritage does something, she gets a pass. But a black woman who is identifiably black, like the guy said in that movie Endgame, or whatever that football movie was, football TV series was, identifiably black woman will get blamed for it. And so this serves both purposes. You're showing who your target audience is, and you're also showing, well, who can we blame when people start getting sick? Because some people, I have heard, I don't really know, but some people have already, the test participants reported sickness. I think it's Parkinson's disease. No, not Parkinson's, some sort of disease that paralyzes one side of your face. Another one was screaming that she felt God had left her, allegedly. That's what I heard. It is a lot of things happening all at once. And also, when I look at this picture, what I really think of is Boule. This is the Boule. Boule has no loyalty to the black race. Generally, most of them, like I had a friend whose mother was a AKA. Now, I had always said if I had pledged anything, I would pledge AKA, because she always said it was brains and beauty. But then when you look back at the history of the historically black colleges, the sororities, I'm brown. They really do have, even now people have a strong preference for light, but it's like this guy told my mother a long time ago, it's just not enough of the light skinned ones to go around, So that is what I thought of that particular news thing. I think it's all propaganda. I think that it is staged, and that you say who these people are and you report it, but I don't really know that. I know what you say, but what people say and what is real sometimes aren't the same thing. I see you poking something in her arm. I know what you say it is. But I'm not there. I have no idea what it is. And even when you go get any kind of a vaccination, any kind of a shot, you're putting a lot of trust in somebody you don't even know. A lot of times people you do know, if they came up and said, you know what, I'm going to give you a little bit of this disease in this shot, and you have to trust me that this is actually what I say it is, and I'm going to stick it in your body, and if it makes you sick, you can't sue me or do anything else because I'm protected. I think most people would say, you better get away from me, and if it was a friend, you'd be like, get away from me and seek psychiatric help or go pray, do something, but just stay away from me. Well, that's what I think of this, and I think that there is a target, and there always has been. We have been trained, especially those of us who come from religious backgrounds, just especially black women in general. We have been trained to focus on our men. That, they after the black man, they want the black man. Well, I think my ex was, I think he was a narcissist. But even a narcissist can tell you the truth about something, and what he said made a lot of sense. You want to get rid of people, go for the women. And what women do they want to get rid of? The ones who look like this, the ones who have this coloring. So, I hope that I answered this, and I'm sorry I'm not the greatest speaker or the greatest video maker, but I'm trying to answer a request and to give my honest thoughts on this, which it is just my thoughts. I could be totally wrong, but I do think that that what you see, what's presented in front of you, is there for a reason. It's like people who study color psychology and every other kind of psychology, because it all really does matter. So, thank you if you managed to stay here this long, and my voice always goes out when I try to make a video. So, if you have any questions or concerns, please, just let me know. If you want to argue with me, well, it's no real point, because this is just an opinion, and I've already said, could be wrong. I don't know. Personally, like I said, to me, you're putting a lot of trust in anybody when they come and try to stick a needle in you. Like I was telling a friend of mine, I was saying that, I really don't want to take any kind of shots. And I said, imagine it's a really, really hot day, and somebody is out on the street selling snow cones, and you go over them to buy one, and you ask them, what flavor is this? And they say, well, this one's got a little bit of tuberculosis in it, so if you drink it, you know what? You won't get tuberculosis anymore. Just trust me. And this one's got some diphtheria in it, and this one's got some, shoot, let's throw in some bubonic plague, so that you take a little sip of this, you won't have to worry about it. Girl, trust me. Okay, would you take it? And my thought is, this person needs to be arrested. This is insanity. But to me, that's kind of like when you go and you're about to go take a shot. Let's say you go to Walgreens. Do you know that person? And even if you do know the person, do you trust them to stick something in you just because it has a certain label on it? And just because they have a jacket on, or that they've been to school. Nope, I don't trust anybody that well. I don't. I'm sorry, I just don't. But like I said, I got a Scorpio moon, so trust is not, something I just go out and willy-nilly hand to people. But, you guys, thank you so much for listening. And thank you so much for requesting that I say something. I came from a family. I think I came from a pretty narcissistic, dysfunctional family. And I was the youngest, so I was often told to children are here to be seen and not heard, and often not even seen. So a lot of the time, I don't offer opinions, and I don't go out of my way to be seen because, it's a lot of weird stuff going on out there. So for someone to actually want my opinion is really, really, I don't know, it's just a wonderful thing. So you guys take really good care of yourself. Always be prayerful, because really walking on this earth is like walking through a minefield blindfolded, and the only source of information on how to not get blown up is the Most High, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So you have to pray, but you have to open up your Bible and history books, and you have to read them with your mind open. That is, that you can't just pick it up and read it and not try to figure out the history, or even a simple thing like, who are they talking to? Because if I'm talking to a friend of mine and I say, put a scarf on your head, it's cold. If somebody comes and records that and says, oh, okay, well, this is the new Bible, and she said, put a scarf on your head, so everybody has to wear a scarf. No, I was talking to that one particular person, and I added because it's cold. Well, I think the Bible is like that. You have to find out who were they talking to and what were the circumstances. Otherwise, you'll be doing a lot of things or not doing a lot of things that you might need to do or not need to do. But in any case, this is the time to be most prayerful. And I do believe a lot of persecution is about to start coming. And we have been told, we have been warned to endure. You don't have to endure if something is fun. It's like going through labor. You have to endure. Sometimes you don't want to, but you have to. Because, all your efforts before will be meaningless if you don't. So, I keep saying I'm leaving, and then I don't. It's just so nice speaking with all of you. So, if you have someone there with you that you can hug, who isn't a backstabber, a narcissist, or just a regular crazy person, because sometimes you do have them in your house with you. But if you're fortunate enough not to have that, well, give them a hug. Let them hug you while you can. And you guys be prayerful and have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whatever it is you got going on. So long.